Hey everybody, Danny Maude here. Thanks for joining us. This week I had a really great friend of mine, Liam Harrison from Golf Vlogs UK. So fellow YouTuber, an amateur golfer that comes over to see me. And basically he'd been apparently struggling for 12 months with his driver, pulling his shots miles left of the fairway, big slices when it wasn't pulled. And he just came out for a few holes, but while we're here, I said, do you mind if I kind of help out a little bit? Because I think I can. And he said, yeah, but Danny, please don't give me anything complicated because my head, I don't like to think about too many things over the golf ball. I said, no problem at all. So anyway, we just gave him 2 or 3 really simple things, and look at the TrackMan stats. By the end of our little session, we added 17 yards to his total carry. We added 23 yards to his total distance with driver, but look at the numbers here in terms of club path. His club path, because he was pulling, was -7 this way. We managed to change all of that to a +1 number. So now suddenly he was able to hit it straighter as well as longer. Hugely important. So I'm going to share with you what we did with Liam because I think it could really benefit you too. So the one thing that Liam did say to me, he said, Danny, I don't want anything too much to think about. I said, look, isn't it frustrating when you stood over the golf ball, you sometimes know what to do, but you just can't do it? We need to work in feels. You need to learn what to feel. So in this week's golf lesson, what I'm going to do with you is I want to share you what I did with Liam, but also help you to kind of feel what you need to do in a golf swing. Whether you slice the ball, whether you hook the ball, I want to help you feel and experience the golf swing so you can make it prove. So that's what we're going to focus on in this golf lesson. Before I get into training though, if you're new to the channel, this is one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing. Press that little bell button, next subscribe button, you get notified every time I release a video just like this one. So what was Liam doing? Well, one of the big things you see, look, he's coming, if you slice the golf ball, pull the golf ball, ultimately, big picture things, this is what you're doing. You attack the golf ball from a high position going to a low position. Yeah, so high to low. The other thing what people tend to do is, people who slice, they don't generally keep their back to their target for long enough in the downswing. They quickly throw the club out here. So Liam was doing both those things. He was simply coming from a high to low position, as opposed to the opposite. So if somebody's hitting the ball really long and straight, they'll generally come much more from a low position, moving towards a high position. If you overdid that, that would be your hooking, right? So if you hook the golf ball, you would be coming probably from too low a position here, going to too high a position. So it's just the opposite, right? So usually and that's what I said to Liam, if you slice the ball, Liam, I'm going to imagine you need to try to get towards somebody who hooks the golf ball, yeah? Because if you're slicing it, if you're a slicer over here, and I try and get you to hook it, and you move towards hooking, or the characteristics of a hook, you're going to start hitting it straight. See, does that make sense? So if this is a slice swing, this is a hook swing, we need to get somewhere in between. So 2 major things with Liam initially. What we did, we said, look, get yourself set here, and what I want you to do is I want you to imagine first of all this. If you just pick the club up in the air and you don't turn, are you ever going to be able to get hit to a high position? No. So what we did with Liam was this. We said, look, get this right hip going straight back here, create some space, yeah? If you haven't seen my video on rotation and the misinterpretation, go and check it out here. It will really complement this video. But from here, watch this. Push that right hip back here, get deeper so you can make a bigger motion. Then, watch this. You're feeling almost, actually, let me grab a little prop here to help you. So, what we're gonna do is, this was a great big boulder, Watch this. I've turned here, this has gone back here, and I've got this great big boulder in my hand. I'm much stronger with my back facing the target. And if I want to throw this boulder forward, I'm much stronger with my back facing the target here for as long as possible, then I throw it, than if I do this. Can you see? In fact, to be honest, imagine weighing this way in a ton, I'd probably drop it now. So I'm stronger here, and I want you to imagine this boulder is coming from behind you as I throw it forward. Very important. So what we're doing here in reality is this. I'm making a nice big turn, and look, the boulder, the rock is behind me, and what I'm doing is from here, I'm throwing it from behind me, then around. what that enables me to do, look at this. I'm able now, look, to bring the club from a lower position going to a high position. If I from here quickly throw the boulder this way, I become weaker and I simply pull it, all right? So let's have a look at this in action. We're getting ourselves set here. We're making a swing, we're gonna make a bigger motion. We've got the boulder behind us here, we're keeping it behind us here, and then from here, we're bringing it from behind on a beautiful arc back around. Let's have a look at this in action. Absolute beaut. Lovely shot, okay? So one of the big keys, if you want to start to get that lovely straight shot, powerful motions, one of the things you're going to have to do is the club needs to be brought as a slicer, by the way, not if you're hooking, but if you slice it, you need to feel like you're pushing this right hip back, getting deeper so you can make a bigger motion. Then, look at my chest. Imagine you've got this boulder. Don't bring the boulder here, you'd lose it, right? Keep your back facing that tag for longer, and what you're going to do here is this. You're bringing it from behind you on an arc around and then throwing it forward. This is going to help you come from a low position and then swing to a high position. Changing that path and hitting up on the ball, countering that slice and starting to hit it straighter, but more importantly, much more powerfully as well as you bring it around here. Now, if you on the opposite side, so we've got more on slice in a second, but just on the opposite, if you hook the golf ball, you're going to have to feel something very, very different. So for those of you, if you're hooking the golf ball, what's probably happening here is you're doing this too much. So you are, in fairness, you're bringing the club, your club is too far behind you and you're stuck. So your issue is you're coming too far underneath, and from here you're going to have to flip the hands over to hook the golf ball. So you're going to have to feel something very different, which is what makes this game unique. We're always trying to, depending on where you are, whether you slice the ball or hook the ball, there's different feelings you're going to need. So if you hook the golf ball, you're going to probably have to feel more like a slicer. What you're going to have to do is you want to get the club working much more up here, and then when it comes down, you want to get the sensation, if anything, that the club now is working more out in front of you, whereas a slicer feels like it's behind them. You need to feel like the club is working more this way, so it's working more down and across the ball, almost like you're going to cut it. Does that make sense? So look at the difference here. You almost feel like you're doing this. I mean, if I exaggerate this, you're picking it up and you're coming back down again like this, versus the slicers try to feel this. So you need to feel a high to low position. It's just different. Now, do you think either one of those swings you'll actually do? No. But what you're doing is the hooker's not going to go like this and the slicer's not going to go like this. But what you're going to do is you're going to gradually change the swing you're going to move it to basically neutral. So I often can get myself where I hook the ball a little bit. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to imagine the club coming up here, working it back straight back down in front of me, because I sometimes get stuck behind. So let's have a look at this in action. That will do just nicely. So finally, legs. What's the difference between slicing and hooking with legs, and what have you got to do? Very simple. People that slice the golf ball, you don't use any legs. They're almost like in cement. The club comes down like this and you simply swing to the left. If you hook the golf ball, the likelihood is you use too much legs. You tend to slide too much. So you need to brace your legs a lot more, okay? Remember, slice effect, hook effect. So what we want to do is what we did with Liam. Liam's very simple. His legs were in serious cement. They weren't moving at all. Now, again, I could talk to him about all this complicated stuff, do this with the feet, but I wanted to show him specifically how he could naturally get into this position. So I gave him, he thought I was mental with this.
a plonker. I thought Danny was a plonker with this drill, and we called it a happy Gilmore drill. He showed me basically I can do it naturally without thinking. So he would roll a golf ball to me, and I would step in and whack it. And honestly, you just hips move brilliant. So my practice routine now is the happy Gilmore.
I gave him the happy Gilmore. Now, I got him walking up to golf balls like this. Before you turn me off, just bear with me on this, okay? I got him walking up to golf balls, just hitting it. He thought I was probably as mad as you're thinking right now, walking up, hitting. But I filmed him doing this. He'd been trying for 12 months to get this, they call it squat position, rotation of hips, all those things. I showed him in one ball that he can do this naturally if he allows. His body has the ability to do this. And more importantly, by walking up like this, he was actually doing it all without thinking. So our job together now was to help him. Now he's got this powerful motion to trust that he can actually start to attack. So with that in mind, I want you to, what can you learn from this? We picked up this ball. We pushed that for the slices to start off with. We pushed that hip back, we got deeper, we're holding that back against the target, and from here what we're doing is you've got this big boulder. Now, have the intention to throw that boulder this way, not just this. If you do this, then ultimately what you have, your legs aren't gonna work. You need to imagine you've got this big heavy boulder, and what you're gonna do, look at my body as I do this. Big heavy boulder here, I'm using that, I'm driving, and I'm gonna throw it forward. That will naturally then get those legs working through the shot, okay? Now, if you are hooking the golf ball as a byproduct, right, you're using too much legs. Hello, we've got a little guest. We've got a little guest on there. Hello. You come to join it? Look, we're going out to a few 100,000 people here, look. So, little guest on the channel. So if you if you hook the golf ball, you are getting too much slide. So you need to do the opposite. You need to almost brace your legs as you're swinging. So you need to hold that as you're throwing that club off, burning in this round. Brace the legs so you can get through the shot, okay? But the key is again, a lot of these complicated motions can happen very, very naturally. Back into position here. I'm going to throw it through. Simple as that. So let's summarize. What have we done? Two major things. If you slice the golf ball, the club is coming out across to the left. It's coming from a high position, going to a low position. You need to experience it coming from a low to high position on the way through. Make that easier by turning back here, pushing that right hip back. Imagine you've got the boulder. Keep that boulder out in front with the back against the target for as long as you can, as you then throw it forward on this arc, bringing it around on this arc on the way through. If you hook the golf ball, it's a little bit different, isn't it? If you hook the golf ball, you are doing it too much. You're coming too much in here. You're swinging too high, and you're going to have to flip it from there. You need to experience much more of a up and down motion, and as we said, more of a bracing of the legs so you're not sliding in here. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Maybe come and join the community by pressing that subscribe button and the bell, and please share it with some of your friends who could benefit from some of this training. But until next week, have a great golfing week.